Assignment 1 is due January 30th at noon, and I am just going to go through the assignment now and show you how to do it. The assignment itself was distributed in class. You see a copy of the assignment listed here. What this assignment requires you to do is download data from FSA, actually download it from our Compass website. That data comes from the Foreign Ag Service. So I'm going to show you how to download that data from the website and then manipulate it in Excel. The end result of this is you're going to produce two outputs, one table that lists major producers of corn in 2016, and also a graph of how the top 5 have changed over time. And again, I'm going to go through the steps that you need to do that. The steps for producing the graphs are shown here. These steps begin with getting the data, downloading that data from our Excel or from our Compass website, and then takes you through what we will do in Excel. I am going to go through each one of these steps and show you how to do each one of these steps. We're going to begin with step 1, the process of bringing it down from our Compass website. Here is the Compass website, the assignments section. So if you go on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see assignments. This is the screen that you will show, and we're on assignment 1 now. Assignment 1 doc is the documentation with the assignment in it. And then you see this file here, psdgrainspulses.csv. You will want to download that file, and to download it, you should just be able to click on it. Depending on your browser, that will download it, and it will save it in a download file. If you're in Chrome, it may even load it into Excel. If it loads it in Excel, then you're done with the step 2, bringing it into Excel. If it isn't, you'll store that data someplace and then bring it into Excel. Now, we've got the download data. I am going to do steps 2 and 3. So we're going to do steps 2 and 3. We're going to do those in Excel. So you will need to bring in this data into Excel. So I'm going to demonstrate steps 2 and 3 now. I am now on my Excel spreadsheet, and I am going to bring in the CSV file into this spreadsheet. So I'm going to point to that right now. I'm going to go File, Open, and I'm on a Mac. So I have this file saved in my ACE 435 file, and I'm just going to show you what you may have to do to get it into the file. Here is the file that we want. Again, you should have this stored someplace. This is a CSV file. You may have to indicate on your machine to show all files if it doesn't show up in your directory. But we want to load PSD grains pulses, and it is a CSV file. I'm going to click Open now, and it will bring it into the spreadsheet. And this, we're bringing into this a pretty large file, so this may take a little bit of time. But as you can see here, it's being loaded into Excel right now, and so we'll bring it in. Almost done. All right, and it went off the screen here, but let me bring it back so that you can see it. Here is my CSV file. What we have here is a bunch of data, and there's actually quite a lot of data in this spreadsheet, but the columns list the data. So we have column code, column description, and I'm just going to do a data filter so I can show you what's in here. This file includes barley, corn, millet, mixed grain, oats, rice, so on and so forth. You can see rice and wheat. It has countries, so we have pretty much every country in the world. Marketing year, and this is a key one. You will use marketing year when we're doing our row sorts. This gives us our information by marketing year. The calendar year is when it's been updated. Attributes here, list the attributes. And again, our assignment includes, we have enough information to calculate supply and use statements by year for all countries for the commodities that you listed here. The attributes you see listed here are every attribute that goes on the supply and use sheet. We are going to use production here. And then it gives the unit description and the value. This value is what we want to graph for production for corn. What we are going to do now, though, is use a pivot table to look at that data. So I'm going to insert a pivot table. We're going to select our range, which is the entire range of data. As you can see, there's 487,551 rows in the sheet. So that is the data. We're going to click OK. And then you're going to come to the sheet. All right, we've got the pivot table inserted. Now we're going to go on to our next steps. So this is step 4, and we're going to create a pivot table, or more specifically, we're going to format the pivot table with our data. And specifically what we're going to be doing is adding rows are going to be countries, years are going to be columns, and we're going to sort this by corn production. We're here, and we want to now create our pivot table. If you click on the pivot table here, or somewhere in the inside of that, you will get this pivot table builder. We want to indicate our rows, our columns, our values, and then our filters. Rows, if we will put down this row the data that is in this county, or whatever we put in the rows. We're going to do the country name. So let's put the country name here. And you'll see that we have a list of all the countries in this database in alphabetical order. Columns, we want our marketing year, so we'll put our marketing year in here. So if you're looking at this, we now have columns and have the years on it. All right, so this is going to be our pivot table. This is our rows, this is our columns. What we want in the middle of it is our values. And if we click down here, we will put in values. And we want those to be the sum of the values. What has happened here is Excel has gone through this, and for example, this cell, 28,054, that value sums everything in this table that has Afghanistan and 1960. So if it's in this database, and let me go here, if it's Afghanistan, if it's 1960, and then it sums this column. So it's summing all of those. Well, what we don't want all the data. We want specific types of the data. So we're going to filter it. And we're going to filter it based on the commodities description. And we only want corn. So we'll put the commodity description here. And also the attribute description. So we're going to put the attribute description here, which is our part of our supply and use table. All right, so we have built our table. Now what we want to do is pick our commodity, and we want to pick corn. So now we just have corn data. And it's still giving us all of the data in that corn file, and now we just want to pick production. And there it is. And now we have production values by year for corn. If you, by the way, if you click on any one of those, let's say you want to know what's in this sheet, you click on it, and then Excel will tell you what's in it. But here we have it. We have our data. We've just created our pivot table. This is production of corn, 1960 Afghanistan. this cell. Corn production 1962, Bolivia. So we've sorted through that data using the pivot table and created this table. All right, we've got our pivot table created. Now we're going to copy that data into a new spreadsheet, eliminate the years before 2000, and then sort the data. So I'm going to demonstrate this in Excel. All right, I am now going to create a new spreadsheet and copy this data over here. So let me just create my new workbook. Here it is. And let me go back here, and I'm just going to highlight this area. Click and hold it down. And here's my data. I'm going to copy this, paste it over here. There it is. Just copy and paste. So I now have my data in a new worksheet. And again, I told you I only want to see it up to 2000. So I'm going to just delete, highlight the rows before 2000. Delete those. So now I have the data that I want. And the final thing that I'm going to do is sort this data. So I have this block of data here. I'm going to sort it by 2016. So let's go into Data, Sort. And I'm going to sort by 2016 from largest to smallest. All right, we have our data. And we have it sorted from largest to smallest. So as you can see here, United States in 2016 had the most production, followed by China. All right, the last thing we want to do is produce the table and the graph. And let me go into Excel and show you the basics about how you would do this. You probably have done this before, but let me just show you again. We're back in our spreadsheet. If we want to produce our table here, and I asked you to produce the table, I believe, with the top 10, one of the ways you could do that is to highlight the top 10, go to Home, copy it, add a new spreadsheet here, or sheet here, paste it here, and then copy over your 2016 data here. And then you have your table, and there it is. United States had 748,000 metric tons in 2016. Total production, if you want to know how to get total production, is just sum this column, and it'll give you total production for the year. The other thing that I asked was for you to create a graph of the top 5. The easiest way to do that is if you eliminate the row label, highlight these cells, then insert a graph, and you'll want to insert a line graph. Oops, did something wrong. Let me do that again. Highlight the area of the data that you want to graph. There it is. Insert a line graph, and there's your data. There's your graph. You can highlight this. You can now format your axes and make it look nice. So you could do whatever you want to do to make that graph look nice and professional. I usually add some, I usually take out the grid lines, so no lines, move this up to the top, all of which you can do, but there's how you produce your table and figures. And by the way, this one is US, China, and then your 3 other countries, which includes the European Union, which is obviously every country in the European Union, but there you can see corn production across time and the major players and how it's changed over time. So, we've done the 8 steps to produce the table and the graph. What I would suggest you do is you copy and paste those into Excel, or Word. Do your little write-up. Spend some time on the write-up and just thinking about what you see in those graphs and what they imply. And we will talk about this in our next class. By the way, turn this in by noon in our Compass website. So please turn it in by noon to our Compass website.